led to believe that scientific findings are not supported by the Bible. It is actually the evolutionary theories that are not supported by science. If chance ruled the world, science would not be possible, as there could be no laws. The theory of evolution tells us that man is only an intelligent animal, to be praised when he does something truly clever, and excused when having committed sin. Evolution also teaches us that man is the pinnacle of evolutionary perfection, the master of his own destiny, that life is meaningless and of little value, and that man simply ceases to exist when he dies. Christian creationists take on a completely different stance. They believe that God created the world and everything in it, that sin began in the Garden of Eden, in life after death, the saving work of Christ, and the truthfulness of the Bible. They also believe that God created Adam and Eve in His image, which means that man is worth more than animals. The Bible teaches that man has an eternal soul, and that God had, and still has, a definite plan for world history. It is important to know which of these sides is right, as it involves spiritual matters. Many things that scientists have discovered were already previously revealed in Scripture. Although the Bible is not usually considered a science book, it contains many scientifically proven truths. These include the facts that the earth is a sphere, that it is suspended in space, that its crust has a foundation, that stars produce sound, that man's body contains the same material as earth, that the seas can be charted, that blood sustains life, the stars are very far from the earth, the winds form a circulating system, air has pressure, and that illness can be attributed to bad attitudes. Modern science also has a Christian foundation. Newton, Kepler, Pascal, Boyle, Murray, Kelvin, Davy, and Galileo all believed in the one true God and credited him for the wisdom and design found in the universe. They all believed that he rules through laws which men can observe and use. This belief founded the purpose behind science, to discover the laws of creation and use them for the benefit of all. Not wanting to give God credit for the creation of the world and everything in it, people began turning away from him. Instead, they worshipped idols and began many false religions and ideas. The most prevalent of these being materialism, the belief that everything is material, that there is no soul or spiritual things, and pantheism, the belief that God and nature are one. Looking to the works of Aristotle instead of the Bible, they began understanding things incorrectly. Aristotle believed that nature was a power, and that mankind was connected supernaturally with rocks, trees, and animals. This caused people to worship and fear them, hindering them from studying nature. The Reformation helped revive interest in science. That is why the age of modern science began so suddenly. The Reformation renewed the priority of man to understand nature and subdue it. Returning to the Scriptures helped men turn away from their superstitious ideas, back to the creation and its creator. As time passed, everyone was so amazed at what modern science had accomplished that they thought that the study of science could solve every problem. They also began to believe that science could have them understand everything. This provided an opening for Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, since people thought that everything dubbed science was true. Instead of comparing it to the Bible, they took Charles Darwin's Origin of Species, as well as his later book, The Descent of Man, without question, even though mathematics and the Bible went against it. Michael Faraday, Lord Kelvin, Sir John Herschel, Adam Sedgwick, Matthew Murray, and James Maxwell were against evolution and stood up for Christ, but others had been waiting for a chance to deny him reasonably. Their only problem had been the question, how did life begin? Charles Darwin gave them the answer. Darwin first thought up evolution during his voyage on the HMS Beagle, a young man chosen to study the plants and animals of foreign countries. It was during that time that he decided that all things must have descended from a first being, products of chance and random motion. Darwin was not very fluent in matters of science, and didn't even know how complicated the human body was. Darwin became confused about adaptation and natural selection, combining them and other ideas into his theory of evolution. Adaptation takes place when an animal or thing adapts to its surroundings. Natural selection is the survival of the fittest. Evolution is when one animal or thing evolves or changes into another. From the 8 people that came out of the ark came many races. From the 7 sparrows in the ark came many species of sparrows. These are cases of adaptation, not evolution, for sparrows and people are still sparrows and people, and not anything else. They simply adapted to their surroundings. Adaptation is not a series of mistakes, as commonly supposed, but the revealing of information stored in the genes. God designed animals and plants to be able to change or adapt, to be better suited to their environment. However, this change is limited to within kinds. No animal changes into another. Darwin said that natural selection was the means by which one animal evolved into another. The peppered moth scenario is often used to prove this. During the 1850s, most of the trees in England had lichen growing on them, perfect for the light-colored moths to hide in. The darker moths were more easily seen and thus eaten first by their predators. About 100 years later, air pollution caused most of the lichen to die, revealing the dark bark that had previously been beneath them. Now 98% of the moths are of the darker variety. This shows natural selection, not evolution. No new kind of moth, or even a new kind of color, evolved. Another example is the case of the pesticide-resistant bugs. Evolutionists say that this is proof for their theory, that it shows evolution in action. The reality is that the bugs that are not resistant to pesticides are dying, and that those that are immune continue to reproduce and pass the resistance onto their posterity. It is true that some things make one animal better fit to survive than another, but that does not create any new animals.